get your take, because you've seen it from then, and now you've seen the transition to Juwan. And I mean, I don't know what your relationship with Juwan is, or but you've been observing the program for a while now. Like, are you shocked with the success, or is this something that you kind of seen and you knew Juwan was capable of?
Well, I knew Juwan was capable of. I'm definitely not shocked at all. Especially where who Juwan is as a person. I've met him, way back. I mean, I actually recruited Juwan to come there. When Coach Fletcher and Coach Fisher was calling me when I was in the NBA, like, hey man, can you give Juwan a call, man? We need to get this guy. And it's almost like if we get him, it's a domino effect. The rest of the guys will come. So
Yeah.
so I kind of figured he had leadership qualities in that state. But with him coming out of the Miami Heat, which I played for the Miami Heat for 2 years, I already knew what cloth he was cut from. Coming under Pat Riley, Spoelstra, I kind of see some of those same traits that he's carrying over at Michigan, and we laugh about it a lot because both of us being in that system in Miami, and I see Juwan doing the same thing. I just look over him and we just start laughing at each
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. Yeah,
other.
big man coaches. How come, I was talking to somebody else, how come we don't see more big man coaches?
You know what? I wish I knew that, man. I don't really understand that, and it's good for me to see former players get back into coaching.
Yeah.
I don't know if we were getting kind of a falsehood of saying, well, we know he can play, we know he knows the game, but can he coach? And I look at what Jawan has done, and he's just went about it the right way. I mean, you've got Phil Martelli, who was the godfather in my. I mean, I love Phil.
Mm.
You go back and you get Howard Isley, who's a point guard. I mean, Jawan doesn't play point guard, so why not go get a guy that plays point guard that knows that position? I mean, you can't beat that when you start doing things like that. You got guys like Saudi Washington, who was just unbelievable, in the MAC conference, when you got position coaches that you can coach and you actually played that position, I think it goes a long way. And I mean, that's even carrying over when you're talking about looking at Jawan, how he's working with Hunter right now, and Austin Davis doing what he's doing, and John Teskey was doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys love working with him, and you can just tell that they're kind of rubbing off on him because Jawan is kind of hands on. He's not no coach that he's sitting in the stands and he's watching them. He's hands on. I mean, Jawan's down there defending these guys, throwing hooks on the post and all that type of stuff. And that says a lot. Anytime you can get a coach out there, and Jawan just kind of makes sure that he doesn't let those guys make contact. Even Coach Chris Hunter,
Yeah.
he kind of gets out here and guards the guys a little bit. So I think those guys really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I bet. I remember our big man coach, shout out Bakari Alexander. He used to throw the pad on us. I mean, he would just abuse us with the
Yeah,
pad. He took
yeah,
real pleasure in
I
that. I
know he
remember that.
did. OBA, matter of fact, he texted me yesterday, and
Did he?
we keep in contact. BA is a great man, and that was his style of play, man. He was rugged, man, and quite sure he got a lot of enjoyment out of beating up you guys. That's probably the only time he can really get after you and make contact like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I want to ask you about the big man, Hunter Dickinson, and what you see in the development. And some people, I guess, they said he was in a bit of a tough stretch there before the break that they had. He came back, I think, looked pretty solid. They had a little bit of rust, but what have you seen from him, and what do you think he can take his game?
I mean, just a very solid, high IQ player. I mean, when you look at him, and probably one of the smartest players that I've seen come in to a college program. When you talk about players playing without fouling, showing his hands, not
Hmm.
a whole lot of foul trouble, just not making a whole lot of stupid plays, and I think he's really absorbing everything that, Coach Howard is talking about. When you talk about pick and roll action, and Coach Howard played, pick and roll actions for 19 years. So who could you learn from better
Yeah,
at, pick and roll actions? And he's really, just absorbing it and taking that in. And, I really feel like he's a special talent. I think it's going to grow. I think eventually he's going to be able to step out and make that short jump shot. He's going to get confidence in it. But I just think he's just on the right page, man. And all of these guys that Coach Howard have is on the right page, man. And not looking too far ahead. Living in the moment. And I mean, I love it. Because quite sure of guys that when they get to a program, the first thing they're thinking about is, hey, I'm going to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got that stigma and you're trying to live up to that, it just makes it hard, man. I mean, you got to just play the game and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, it gets very difficult, melding all of those dreams and egos and everything. And you guys did it really well. I mean, I was looking at your roster from the championship team, and it was like 6 guys that at least got to the NBA a little bit. Maybe it was 7, but at least 6. And I was just thinking, like, how crazy it is to have those dreams come together and just work towards one goal. And you guys, what that's like. I mean, I didn't quite get there. We overachieved my senior year. We share the Big Ten, but we kind of flustered in the in the tournament. But you guys really put it together. Like, what does that take once you get to the tournament?
It's just a lot of sacrifices, to be honest with you, because when you come to the University of Michigan, you're considered to be a top-notch type guy or a top-notch player, and you talk about McDonald All-Americans, guys who basically was the guy on their team. I could probably even attest to you. I mean, talk about a guy like yourself probably averaging 27, 28 points coming out of high school. All of a sudden now you're at the University of Michigan. And you got to take sacrifices. You just can't come in and they're saying, hey, you're going to get 15, 20 shots. You're going to average 27. You got to take sacrifices. And that's what it was about our team. This took a while to gel, but we just started taking sacrifices, because you're talking about maybe at least 5 or 6 guys on that national championship team that was the man on their team in high school, and averaged anywhere from 20, 25 to 35 points a ball game. So we all know the story. There's only one basketball. We've got to take some sacrifices. And I think that we grew to learn a lot about one another. I think once Coach Frieder had left, I think one of the biggest things was the challenge that Bo Schembechler had gave us. I think he put things in perspective by saying, this is what I would like you to do. This is what I want you to do. This guy's going to do that. And, Coach Fisher even elaborated on it. And, he just put, your roles in perspective about what was expected of you. And this is what we'd like you to do. And everything else fell in place.
It's almost like you guys paved the way for that Fab Five team to come in, because you had all that talent. Those guys could see, like, okay, we can come here, shine, win. We know we got to have our sacrifice, but we're going to have our moments where we can come in and play. Like, do you feel like you paved the way for, Juwan, all that talent to come in?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that just when you're being, recruited, it was guys like, Gary Grant and Antoine Jobert and Roy Tarpley that made me want to go to the University of Michigan. So you always got to have a group that's ahead of you that you can actually see and say, hey, man, we could do that. So us winning the national championship, I think that probably put all those guys together and just said, hey, man, if we can all just come together and come here, we can do the same thing. They just fell short a couple years, but I mean, those are some amazing teams. And, when you look back on it, man, you just say, man, what a team these guys had. And, they came in during an era, I guess. I mean, the social media wasn't there, but they was just getting a little bit more notoriety, if you will. It's kind of like we won a national championship. I mean, we had media coverage, but not as much as, the Fab Five. They had a little swag and had what they had, but it's crazy because even with that, I see people that are fans on the street, or I guess you want to call them so-called fans. They'll always ask me, and they'll be like, man, you guys were something else, man, when you played for the Fab Five. And I'll be like, I didn't play for the Fab Five. Or sometimes I don't even answer. It just be like,
yeah,
just running it all together. Okay,
yeah.